And what a view it is, Zeke. We're talking about so much awesome action happening here. We got 2 games left. So now I can't believe the awesome fireworks that we're watching right here from the EU region. We're seeing some signature performances, some awesome victory royales, and I just can't believe it. This is literally week 1 of FNCS Trios. We got a whole much mess of a month here to look forward to.
An entire month, and don't forget we have NA East after this. I'm Sundown. That was Sancho who just welcomed you in. This is match number 11. We'll have one more after this, and that will be the entirety of the 12 for week number 1 in EU. This is FNCS Chapter 2, Season number 4, and we're going to hop right back on over to the party that's going on at Doom's Domain. Noah Riley, Aqua, and Rezon have had the better of it today, but last game, nobody really got the better of this, with 3 teams all trying to dive in on the vault, and in the end, all of them falling way outside of placement threshold.
And this is going to be like a traditional box fight that you're seeing down here. You're going to see the team that hits the vault first kind of set up a lot of real estate, throw down a lot of mats as possible, so it would discourage a team like a Noah or Aqua to get in there. But there is porta forts or porta like tunnels, so to speak, in the porta potties. They could kind of portal their way into the vault, and they could kind of try to stop somebody who is on the back foot inside. So there's a lot of cheeky strats they can do, a lot of tricky splits, as you can hear it. Here it is, an opportunity to kind of get this one. 89 right there for Noah Riley, and yes, he caught the escape right there from Benji. Already Benji trying to escape in a car, trying to escape through that portal. Doesn't matter, he gets caught right there, but Noah Riley gets caught himself, as Lecce says, backs up his man. It's just, you stay away. So now it's an opportunity for, actually that was Savage who does that, and Savage gets the revive. But you're talked about it, Sundown. It is about being hip to hip. If they were hip to hip, that would not have happened. Catching someone by themselves, isolation is a key grab for trios contesting in power POIs.
Yeah, and it's super unfortunate that he actually mistimed the charged shotgun there and mispositioned. If he stood a little bit farther forward, there's a time where your animation lock coming out of that porta potty, and you're not actually able to throw down a build, but because he was standing far enough back and waited, he was able to throw out the ramp. That gave him enough time to let Savage know he's in danger. Savage follows up and comes through, and while Noah's unable to confirm the elimination, Savage then gets the siphon, gets the additional 15 builds, which is huge in the early game, and then on top of that is able to get Benji back up and turn it into the 2v1 that they need. But now over on board here, Marine and Jaspe, they're up. Jaspe sitting on 1 elimination, indicating that it's likely a 2v2 here with, well, you can guess the other Stark team. It's Mongro, Mitro, and Tayson. Don't know which one of them went down. Generally it's Tayson who's taking that first contestant fight, so odds are good that it's Mongro and Mitro here, but could be any of the 2 out of 3. Moraine in a good spot though with that pump and the Stark rifle.
We're seeing the difference of NA East and EU. In EU, they usually hit that guaranteed chest here in the main building. People like Booga, Jamper, and Avery, who are coming up very next, tend to split and hit Hanger. And as you're seeing right there, Mitro whiplash his way, and Tony Stark's whip gets to the vault as much as possible. That's going to give the signal to Jaspe and Marine that there's someone trying to leave. And I think right here, Mitro's trying to go for that sneaky reboot. He's going to try to risk it for the biscuit. And the biscuit is going to cause him to be a little bit tough to digest, as Jaspe is just right there to kind of punish that epic play and punish again. And now it is, I think, Mongrel all lonesome right now, watching this fight from a distance like Squidward looking through the vents as he's seeing Jaspe and Marine running away with this one.
All right, well, he's not looking through the vents anymore. Hits the booster, says, "Don't you know who I am?" Gets a little bit of damage going through, tries to follow up with the pump. Mongrel is just saying, this is my drop spot. Don't care how many times we have to fight over it. 137 gets the immediate swap. That's something he does better than almost any other player in the game. And however, it's not going to be enough. Jaspe closes that fight out. However, you have another party coming in to try and get a piece of that action, and that will be the French crew. Airwalks, Vato, and Leo coming through. Jaspe trying to get in the whiplash and get back over to the vault, but the shots are coming over, just the harassment, and you want to get away from the situation. However, another team closing in, and we talk about it. You get to these final games, these mythic POIs, and the danger of relying on dropping here and relying on this consistent loot and saying, hey, this is my spot. Everyone knows where to come find you. Iron Man getting in on a piece of the action. Don't want any of that 90 damage that ends up coming through all of the builds. Those blasters hurt. He's got those things refined. We've seen a number of players go down to that one. Shout out Lumen. And now we're going to swing on over to the Steamy Stacks fight.
Man, I was just watching that fight break out. I was like, Tony Stark, Iron Man is still vibing with his repulsor blasters and his unibeam. He was doing so much damage, and Airwalk kind of ate a 90 as Mona puts a big time hit on Toos. And Toos is one of those teams, you know, this is another congestion in the EU area. This spot right here, this POI Steamy Stacks has produced so many solo champions, and a lot of the analysts out there in the Twitterverse, and I know Shayo and Reese were kind of looking at Steamy Stacks because there's some reason champions are birthed from here. They come out of the goo, that purple goo from maybe Kevin. The spirit of Kevin just gives the power to anybody that lands in Steamy Stacks, and we're seeing Mona right now and Hurley trying to find that Kevin power within. This is the first time they're making it this far, so no matter what, they are already winning, and they could take this experience and build on top of that. And we're going to see some new names throughout the entire FNCS trios, some new names pop out and capitalize in that.
And realistically, too, coming to this match, they're at 62 points. They're in 21st place. But if they're able to win a couple fights here and get some placement, there's still 2 games left. They're a team that could realistically qualify through for heats in their first ever performance if they're able to have 2 solid games put together. And that's why I kind of don't buy, like, yes, if you're all the way down in kind of the 27th to 33rd range, it's going to take you to win 2 games in a row, which, while we're saying it's possible, we've seen if you're not necessarily in the groove, in the rhythm, particularly with trios, it's really hard. But for all those teams who are kind of in the 21 to 25, 26 range, you're still very much so in the running for a top 15 shot, even with 2 games left. All that is a top 5 with a couple of eliminations, which every single one of these teams, if they can get the right start and get away from the initial chaos of the early game that so often happens in EU, they're all capable of getting to mid-game, rotating late, and finding placements. We've seen everybody, almost every single one of these teams, sneak at least one player into deep placements. So if they're able to convert on this opportunity, that would be an incredible job, and they're being really aggressive here, and they find Tez finally able to close out that fight. Now they'll be able to get whatever loot they want, finish up the mats, and while normally I'd advocate for hitting the Stevie and taking a long glide, because the zone is right there, they'll probably just path right on into it.
Great 2 trios absorbed by Mona. The primordial goop of Kevin is within. The power is strong. And we're seeing right now, like, just to give you an example, big names that are in danger of not qualifying here in week 1. Kariachi, Rotary, Stormy Right, on the bubble. Benji, Mr. Savage, Alechi, on the bubble. Toos, Browner, Tomsy, who are competing there at that Steamy Stacks, on the bubble. Erikin, Pickus, Yzip, on the bubble. So that is what they're looking at right here. But you're right. You know, even you could get the home run, that 25 points victory royale. That'd be awesome. But getting those singles, doubles, or triple plays, you know, will set you up and get those runs in. If you want to talk about baseball, that's happening right there. You know, setting up the play. It's all about the details that get you that score, that get you that bucket, that get you that end zone. It's Sunday here in the States. I know North American football is a thing here as big time as we're broadcasting here. But, hey, it's all about getting it in. And those field goals, they all add up for the score.
Excuse me, Sancho, this is
Yes.
Europe. We watch real football
I
around
know.
here, which, while it's the weekend, we're on international break for the EPL.
Right.
I think there's some other leagues going on right now, but with international break, most of the major European leagues don't necessarily have games going on, so we can devolve back down to the, I will say, inferior football, but that's probably going to get me some looks as we hop on board, which had previously been, I don't want to say wire-to-wire leader, but wire-to-wire most consistent team doing their best Evel Knievel impression, not quite making the canyon. They obviously didn't sing the right Rush lyrics at the key time. But right now we can see Benji over in that Doom's Domain fight, still not getting a resolution. And we've talked about it. If you can't resolve these fights quickly, then it's not really going to be beneficial to anybody. However, he has the shockwaves, he has the bomb. If they can get out of dodge, then they'll be in an okay situation. And I say okay because, well, he only has 7 builds.
Yeah, and it looks like the Marshals here to wrangle up these desperados right now as Benji's in a desperate situation. Does pick up a beam on Aqua there. That's a big time. That's why Height's so strong. You get that multiplier when you get the headshot. Benji now completely out of builds. He's going to have to work his way. He does have a shockwave, but you know it hurts him every single time he uses it. Down goes the mystical bomb, which is going to create some fire area of effect, and all the fire is going to catch as he does get a white tag right now, but he just cannot just get in. And you're seeing some people looking into this fight as Rezun goes down, and that's going to be only one that's going to be up, and that's Noah Riley. But the third party is looming in the distance. You can see it as they're swarming on through. So this fight, yes, they're going to be able to kind of get an opportunity. And yes, here's the third party already here, putting a plate down and looking for some scraps. And Benji has to scrap on out of there and retreat. But that leaves Savage behind. And oh no, Savage might be in trouble here, Sundown.
Savage is in more than trouble. Noah's camping out on the side. We've seen Jamside play Hunter a number of times. Instead, going to hop straight into the shortcut, get out to the porta potty. Now, what he needs to turn, he needs to camp that right away. Instead, going to opt to pop the minis. And they're actually saved by the fact that a 5th team came over the hill right at the edge. Those were the Stallions that they needed. The Riders right at the top. But no, he was too greedy. He only had the single build from hitting the tree. Took a little bit too long to get over there and ended up getting cleaned up. Couldn't get back over to Benji. And we talk about this mythic POIs just devolving down. That's what happens. Everyone, plus their mother, their sister, that second cousin that you see on Thanksgiving but don't really want to see, plus all of their nieces and nephews, and especially the one that just asks you if you have games on your phone the entire time and burns the entire battery. They're all coming to the mythic POI. There's 2 games left. They have nothing else to lose. In their head, they think we need shockwaves, we need mythics, but in the reality, when everyone goes there, everyone loses because there's not enough to support the 5 or 6 different teams, as Swag doing his best to hold off the Russian trio of Rotary, Stormy Right, and Kiriachi on the side. Kiriachi getting a piece of it with the rifle fire there, trying to get some coverage down, but again, regardless of what happens here, everybody is posted up on the edge of the zone, just firing shots back that way.
You mentioned the North American holiday of Thanksgiving, but over there on the EU side of things, it's Boxing Day, and look at all the boxing that is happening here. I know it's a much more joyous and jovial holiday, but here in Fortnite, you see nothing but box fights all going out right now, and it is going to be so vital for here, because we're talking about it. Let me give you a number here, Sundown. 20 points. That's how many points Benji's squad is out from the top 15. 20 points separates that squad from qualifying, and having the struggles that they're having at the wrong time is going to be a big factor if they do not qual. And yes, there's plenty of time to do that, and yes, they could rely on series points as well. It's another way into the dance, but you know that the pride and that all their fans out there throughout the world want to see them qual, and they want to see them place at least into week 1. So you're seeing all these riders of the Storm right now coming in late into the safe zone are putting some big time pressure, and Benji Fishy is now on by himself, and he has to do his best. And no, Kiriachi does pick up a nice elim right there, so that's going to give an opportunity for Benji and Kiriachi, both on separate trios here, a moment to breathe as a full trio is pushing into this house.
You can see him. He sees that the bomb is down there. However, as a solo, I think your priority on that mystical bomb really drops, because you have to kind of expose yourself to use it. Instead, trying to just bait it a little bit, knowing that the players want to come forward towards that shiny object. However, kind of whiffs the pump shot there, only really catching the side of the pellets, despite it being a headshot, not getting the damage he need. And with the Storm closing in again and him out of white HP, he's going to let this team rotate past. However, he's in a really bad spot. He desperately needs to get one of these siphons. Otherwise, the Storm is going to end up taking him over, or at best, he's going to get gate kept right on the outside, because these are all the teams who have already posted up inside the zone.
In Kiriachi's squad, just to give you guys an idea, is 17th place right now. So only 2 points going into this match away from 15th place. There is a 2-way tie from Sip Dazin, Akusto, tied with Mythic, Tony, and Mido. who are at 82 points apiece. So just keeping that in mind. The score that you see is the day 2, and we're keeping a track on the cumulative leaderboards for you, and it's going to be a great finish. We got 2 games left. This is 1 out of the 2 going into the final. Again, we've had 12 games of action here leading up, and we're going to do this every weekend. Later on, NA East is going to kind of step up to the plate, but looking at the plate right now on the mini map, you see a lot of water, and that's going to be the puzzle as we see it. It does update, so a little sigh of relief from our competitors, but still, there's a little bit of elevation here, especially the beachfront that to work with. So that is the puzzle that there's going to be facing our competitors right here, Sundown. And what a nice overview, getting the vibe. And there he is, Kirachi, the lone trio, not afraid to take a fight.
And despite it being EU, it seems like we've had a couple of Lone Ranger-esque scenarios where it's been all about the solo, just doing everything he can. But we talk about doing everything he can. Kiriachi not only needs to find the eliminations here, but he has to go down and get the loot. He has 3 builds, and despite being close to this 4th zone and having the high ground, he has to at least have the builds to create another full box. And that's it. And he's saying, that's all I needed. Goodbye. Just going to dip down right away. Has a truck in a metal box. Is the only one up on this high ground. So all of a sudden, it's not often you're going to say this, but a solo is in a complete and utter power position over about 2 or 3 other trios who are going to be forced to rotate into him. And currently, that's the 2nd place team who has dropped outside of placements twice in a row, now rotating directly on top of him. Kiriachi going to opt to land wait, goes for a quick ambush, but instead they're going to drop down on him. Now we're going to hop on board with another person doing their best Western Cowboy cosplay. It's Noah Riley slinking along in the bottom with just 2 builds, a rare shotgun, and a rare AR. The player hops out. We'll wait for the server to catch up, but what will happen to this wascally wabbit? And he will get taken down. Very anticlimactic.
Very Elmer Fudd shows up right there and finally catches that wabbit. And my, oh my, the lone stars right now, Kirachi, who does have the opportunity to do this. He is a fragger in his own right. Very strong solo player, and he's going to be able to kind of sneak away. As we're looking up the field, Airwalk takes a big elim on Thomas HD, so that is something where we have to keep tabs on as well. Airwalk is kind of heating up at the moment. You mentioned the back-to-back Pro-Am champion, who is a big talker in the scene, definitely walking the walk, getting some big elims underneath his belt. It's kind of like putting on a show right now in his own right, and you know he's not going to let that go, Sundown.
And the veteran who has played in so many competitions, whether it's Fortnite or across other games. He is a professional at the utmost level. Also won those proms with RL Grime, who shout out Aerox, probably empowering a bit of him. Everybody knows RL Grime is the king of October with the Halloween remixes. And now Airwalks, who hasn't been playing a ton recently, but really seems to shine through in the solo modes. They're currently sitting at 13th, but Kiriachi's run will finally end. It was a valiant effort, but not able to get the confirmation onto Prago either. He steals 3 extra points for his team, but that will be about it heading into the final game.
Yeah, and again, Kirachi's squad was at 17th place. That trio just on the outside in the bubble. And that bubble is about to burst for a lot of trios. A lot of heartbreak is going to go in, a lot of hard work. Yeah, on the leaderboards, it'll be all for nothing if you don't qualify, but you could definitely build on that. Teams like Mona, who is the first time being on this level of competitive play, they could definitely use some work here and just get a little bit better. And it's not like crazy. They're not like on the bottom of the board. But like you mentioned earlier on, if you're on the bottom of the board, you have 2 games to do it. Just get to the end game. You get those placements, get a couple elims along the way, because you know that's where those elims are going to come. But right now, Nate, Kezix, 4ZR, the Reese's prediction here has to find a way to turn their fortune and get back and strike the iron when it's hot.
And as opposed to other games, pretty much all of our top 5 are still in this game and still have an opportunity. And with 2 matches left as a viewer, the question is, what do you care about? All of those teams who are in the top 5, realistically, if they're able to push into a 1st or 2nd place performance here with some eliminations, will be in contention for 1st place. So you want to keep an eye on Floki and his squad, iDrop, Vettel, and Sturzix. You want to keep an eye on Flix, Anas, and Thomas HD. We saw Thomas go down, who's largely been the clutch factor there. You want to keep an eye on Kezix, 4ZR, and Nate, and then Exponential, Mexi, and Astro. Exponential being the one on who is hard to find. Excuse me. And now The other question is, outside of that, in terms of winning, what is the line for the top 15, aka the automatic qualification for the finals? Right now, the teams who are on qualification pace are averaging just over 8 points a game, which puts us right around 91 or 92 after we get through this 11th game, excuse me. Just under 8 points.
Absolutely, and teams like Mona, Swag, Miro, Snap, I mean, already Twos, Browner, Tomzy, those are teams that look out for. Tomzy and that trio is out. Urkin, Pickus, and Wyzip, you have to look out for that one. Mythic, Tony, and Mido, Snot, Dazen, and Akusto, who've been doing really well in getting to the in-game situation. And Sammy, Kiri, Dennis, Airwick, Bato, and Leo. Those are the squads that are kind of in danger of falling out because they're not in triple digits right there. Zeke talked about it in the analyst desk portion that, hey, if you're in triple digits, then you can kind of take your foot off the gas a little bit and kind of rest. But those other squads are not. They're still in double digits, and there's so many people nipping at their heels, Sundown.
And iDropping Code just had 2 of their players go down outside of the placement threshold yet again. Flick also following, so we talk about those top 5 teams dropping out right before placement. Again, first placement point comes through in the top 17 trios. We're currently at top 18, so that is awful timing for them. In the second to last game, who will be able to seize the opportunity? Will it be Floki, Clement, and Nakors, and will they get some room? Right now, back on board with the Dutch trio, ADN, Matzo, and Amplify, looking for a little bit of room on the side. Stursix will go down. Vettel gets the confirmation over. That's our second place team falling with only a pair of placement points to go for him. Nakors, however, the current number 1 team, going down right now and getting knocked there. ADN under some pressure, trying to find a little bit of room. Amplify is going to pick off Hellraiser and give him some more room to work with and create a little bit of space. Kha'Zix is going to turn around and get Hellraiser as well in the top left. Still 14 trios remaining. Make it 13 as he gets ticked over right there. Jam side falling after getting a pair of points for his team.
And you're seeing ADN and Matzo. Wow, ADN doing really great work on the low ground, but they kind of marked Doom's mystical bomb, and I don't think anyone picked it up. It got swallowed up by the storm, so that factor is gone. You see it on the bottom of the screen. That is going to be not a factor going into this in-game, as Pickus, one of those teams on the bubble, does go down. So that's going to be an interesting thing, as now ADN goes down as well. A top 8 team now is out of the running here, and yeah, man, so much could change going into the last and final game here. Matzo is all by himself. Can he pull the Thomas HT? He's going to have to eat some Travi patties as Travis Scott skin. Now he's the Lone Ranger in that fight as well. But at height, it is Reese's pick of 4ZR and Kha'Zix, and they're going to be very strong, and they're going to set up the split here, Sundown.
They're 4th place coming into this game, but right now, Mona, Kirko, and Murrow, the first time appearance in any FNCS Grand Final, a huge individual effort, and we've talked about the story of individual efforts. Mona, with 5 eliminations, only 4 builds to his name, pushing himself as a solo into the top 7 right now, almost guaranteeing their qualification into heats. When you think about how strong Europe is as a region, that means so much. In trios, honestly, where players think it is the most consistent to come out with such a premier individual performance, and right now he's doing it by just finding gaps in the side. 0 builds to his name. Crash pad forward. He says, I'm going aggro. Kuji going down there, finds the 120, but he doesn't get the conversion, and that is massive. Dropping a point there will get him 6, and now we're going to hop on board, become legends on the mid-tarp, and you can see the French trio and Reese's pick up on the high ground.
Something you got to definitely point out is Sammy, who's been having a great individual run on the low ground himself, is picking up some big-time points. But it is the squad coming out of Craigie Cliffs, Larice, Rifle, and Slicks doing really well, building legends at height, and they have an opportunity to get themselves solidified in it. And you know why the top place is very important? Because if you qualify, you have a great chances of being in the Grand Finals top 10 if you finish number 1 in week 1. And that is what people are playing for, as Slicks, Larice, Rifle are doing really well. They have dominant position, and it is over. That is it. Game 11 here goes to the books, and the Build by Legends here are building up to a strong finish here in day 2, Sunday.